Where do we submit the final project?
I'm not sure which elective to choose.
Is there a cafe near the library?
I missed the announcement in class.
Do we need to print the assignment?
Why was the lecture recorded?
I'm running late for class.
Have you joined any campus clubs yet?
Listen to a conversation.
I'm heading to the cafe before class. Do you feel like having something?
Maybe, but I don't want anything too strong. I had espresso earlier.
They make a mild latte with less caffeine. Would that work?
Yes, a small one is perfect. And please don't add sweetener, the milk is enough.
Listen to a conversation.
My laptop became unresponsive again while I was editing my paper.
That sounds frustrating. Did the system recover after you rebooted?
Only temporarily. It shuts down whenever I open large files.
In that case, the campus technicians might need to check whether it's a hardware issue.
Listen to an announcement at the university.
I'd like to remind students that voting in the upcoming student government elections will be held online next Wednesday and Thursday. To participate, you will need your student ID number and campus email account. Election results will be posted Friday afternoon on the student government website. Before voting, students are encouraged to review the candidates' profiles so they understand each person's ideas and goals. Active participation helps create a stronger campus community. Listen to an announcement in a campus theater.
Good evening, everyone. We would like to inform you that tonight's student musical will start about 30 minutes later than originally planned due to a problem with the theater's lighting equipment. The technical team is currently working to resolve the issue. During this time, the lobby area will remain open and snacks and drinks will be available for purchase. If the new start time creates a conflict for you, ticket exchanges for a later performance can be arranged at the box office in the lobby. Thank you for your understanding. Please note that the performance itself will not be shortened and will take place in full after the delay.
Listen to part of a sociology class.
Urbanization is the process by which increasing numbers of people move from rural areas to cities. This shift has taken place for many decades and continues in most parts of the world today. Cities often attract people because they offer greater access to universities, a wider range of jobs, and more cultural and social opportunities. As a result, many individuals believe that moving to an urban area will improve their quality of life and future prospects. Historically, industrialization played a major role in encouraging urban growth. When factories were built in cities, they created employment opportunities that drew rural populations into urban centers. Over time, this movement changed not only where people lived, but also how communities were organized and how economies functioned. Despite these advantages, rapid urban growth can create several challenges. Cities may struggle to provide enough affordable housing, efficient transportation, and clean environments for expanding populations. Traffic congestion and air pollution are common concerns in densely populated areas. To respond to these issues, many cities are investing in improved public transportation and developing parks and green spaces. These efforts aim to make urban environments healthier and more sustainable, while preserving the economic and educational benefits cities provide.
The Wi-Fi is malfunctioning in the dorm.
Is the midterm multiple choice?
I need a quiet place to study.
Did you register for next semester yet?
The professor speaks very fast.
Can you explain this assignment to me?
Are food trucks allowed on campus?
I think I failed the quiz.
Listen to a conversation.
Hey, you look surprisingly relaxed. I thought today's lecture was supposed to be intense.
It was, but it turns out the professor pulled the plug at the last minute. She dropped a message in the course portal early this morning.
Seriously? I've been buried in back-to-back meetings and completely out of the loop. I guess that explains why the classroom was empty.
Yeah, apparently she wasn't feeling well. Still, she made it clear the change doesn't give us any breathing room. The assignment deadline hasn't budged.
That's frustrating. I was secretly hoping for a bit of wiggle room.
Same here, but no such luck. She even emphasized that we shouldn't take the cancellation as a green light to slow down.
Good thing you told me, otherwise I would have been caught off guard.
Trust me, I almost missed it too. The notification was easy to overlook if you weren't keeping an eye on the platform.
Listen to an announcement in a university library.
Attention library users. Please note that access to the third floor will be restricted throughout the day tomorrow, while facility staff carry out flooring maintenance. As a result, the study rooms and computer workstations located on that level will be temporarily out of service. Any bookings previously made for those rooms have been reassigned to comparable spaces on the second floor, and directional signage will be in place to assist you. We understand this may cause some disruption and appreciate your patience while the work is completed. Listen to part of an anthropology class.
Rituals are organized actions that carry symbolic meaning across cultures. They may be religious, such as ceremonies connected to birth or death, or secular, like graduation events or national celebrations. Although rituals often mark important life events, their function goes beyond simple celebration. They help strengthen group identity and reinforce shared expectations about behavior and social roles. By participating in common rituals, individuals develop a sense of belonging and continuity within their community. One clear example is coming-of-age rituals. These ceremonies formally recognize a person's transition from childhood to adulthood. In many societies, they signal that the individual is ready to take on new responsibilities and participate more fully in community life. Through public recognition and symbolic actions, these rituals communicate how a culture defines maturity and responsibility. Ritualistic behavior also appears in everyday interactions. Simple acts such as shaking hands or following greeting routines may seem minor, yet they serve important social functions. They express respect, establish trust, and create predictable patterns of interaction that make communication smoother. For this reason, anthropologists study rituals not only by describing what people do, but by analyzing what those actions represent. Researchers are especially interested in how rituals reflect underlying beliefs, values, and social structures within a society.
Listen to part of a literature class.
Myths are traditional stories that societies use to explain natural events, shared experiences, and important human questions. These narratives often include gods, heroes, or supernatural forces, but their purpose goes far beyond entertainment. Myths act as symbolic systems that communicate cultural knowledge and strengthen commonly held beliefs. In many traditional communities, myths were closely connected to religion, rituals, and the passing of values from one generation to another, helping people make sense of events that seemed confusing or unpredictable. A well-known example is the Greek myth of Demeter and Persephone. This story provides a symbolic explanation for the changing seasons, by linking agricultural cycles to the emotional experience of separation and reunion. Persephone's movement between the underworld and the surface world reflects the transition from winter to spring, showing how myths transform observation of nature into meaningful stories. In addition to explaining natural phenomena, myths often serve as moral guides. Hero stories highlight qualities such as courage, loyalty, perseverance, and self-sacrifice, encouraging behaviors that societies consider admirable. By comparing myths across cultures, scholars can identify recurring themes, like transformation, conflict, and renewal, while also recognizing culturally specific meanings. Some researchers even suggest that the narrative patterns shaping myths resemble early scientific thinking, leading to further discussion about how humans interpret knowledge.
Is the professor holding office hours this afternoon?
I can't log in to the course portal.
Do we need to buy the textbook right away?
Are you done using the printer?
I'm thinking of switching majors.
Where can I park my bike on campus?
The group meeting was moved to Friday.
Did you understand today's lecture?
Would it be possible to borrow your notes from yesterday's lecture? I had to step out earlier than expected.
Sure, that's fine, but I should warn you, my handwriting isn't very legible.
That's not an issue. I mainly need the key concepts and overall structure.
In that case, I can either bring them tomorrow or scan them and send them later today.
Tomorrow works perfectly. Thanks, I really appreciate it.
Do you have any plans to travel this summer, or are you staying in town?
I'll be traveling. I'm planning to spend a couple of weeks visiting my grandparents.
That sounds lovely. It must be nice to have some quality time with family.
Absolutely. I don't get to see them as often as I'd like.
How long will you be away?
Roughly 2 weeks. I'll make sure to return before classes resume.
Attention residents. Please be advised that quiet hours will be temporarily extended during final exam week. From 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., residents are asked to refrain from loud conversations, music, or group gatherings in all common areas and rooms. This measure is intended to create a more supportive environment for studying and rest. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation.
Before we begin today's session, I'd like to inform you of a change to next week's schedule. The originally scheduled guest speaker, Professor Lang, will unfortunately be unable to attend due to unexpected travel delays. As a result, Dr. Ramirez from the Department of Sociology has agreed to deliver a lecture on the same topic, social movements and political change. Please note that while the lecture will take place at the usual time, It has been relocated to room 112, which offers additional seating capacity.
In the mid-15th century, Johannes Gutenberg revolutionized communication with the invention of the movable type printing press. Before this, books were copied by hand, which was slow and expensive. Gutenberg's system allowed texts to be reproduced much faster and at lower cost, making books more widely available. One of the most famous works he printed was the Gutenberg Bible, which demonstrated the press's ability to produce high-quality texts. Beyond religion, the printing press spread scientific ideas, political pamphlets, and literature across Europe. This rapid distribution of knowledge contributed to major cultural shifts, such as the Renaissance and the Reformation. In many ways, the printing press can be seen as a technological breakthrough that reshaped society much like the Internet does today.
Can you remind me when the quiz is scheduled?
I never received the email about the workshop.
Is attendance compulsory for this course?
Do you feel like studying together later on?
I left my student ID at home this morning.
Do you know how long the orientation runs?
The deadline's been pushed back again.
Any chance I could borrow your notes from yesterday's lecture?
Do we have sufficient markers for tomorrow's presentation, or are we cutting it a bit close?
I doubt it. The last one appears to have dried up entirely, and it's barely usable.
That's unfortunate. I'll swing by the store on my way home and restock.
I appreciate it. While you're at it, could you pick up some paper as well, just to cover all bases?
Absolutely. I'd rather be overprepared than risk any last-minute issues.
Attention students! Career Services has announced a one-time extension of the deadline for spring internship applications, which will now close on March 1st. This adjustment was made in response to reports that a significant number of applicants encountered delays in obtaining required recommendation letters. That said, the revised deadline is final, and submissions received after March 1st will not be considered under any circumstances. To minimize the risk of technical or administrative complications, students are strongly advised to submit all application materials well in advance. In addition, Career Services is offering a series of CV writing workshops throughout the week. Further details can be found on their website.
Impressionism emerged in France in the late 19th century as a deliberate departure from the conventions of academic painting. Rather than producing carefully polished studio works, Impressionist artists chose to paint outdoors, emphasizing transient effects of light, color, and movement. Their use of loose, visible brushstrokes and unconventional compositions was intended to capture immediacy rather than precision. Claude Monet exemplifies this approach through his repeated depictions of the same subject under varying atmospheric conditions, highlighting how perception shifts over time. At the time, many critics dismissed Impressionist works as incomplete or technically flawed. Nevertheless, the movement ultimately reshaped artistic priorities and laid important groundwork for later developments in modern art. Today, Impressionism is widely recognized for redefining how everyday experiences can be represented visually.
In economic analysis, opportunity cost refers to the benefits an individual or organization forgoes when choosing one option over another. Importantly, these costs are not always monetary. For instance, when a student decides to dedicate an evening to studying rather than working, the opportunity cost may include lost income, but also lost professional experience or leisure time. The same principle applies to businesses. Allocating resources to one project inevitably limits investment elsewhere. By recognizing opportunity costs, decision-makers can better evaluate trade-offs and avoid focusing solely on immediate or visible outcomes. Ultimately, this concept underscores a fundamental reality of economics: resources are finite, and every choice entails sacrifice. Once we acknowledge that every decision involves trade-offs, the next challenge lies in understanding how individuals and organizations attempt to manage these constraints in practice. This often requires frameworks that go beyond isolated choices and consider how priorities are set when resources must be distributed across multiple competing needs.